You're listening to the Three Seeds Podcast, a show about native plants in the Midwest. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Elizabeth, and we've been walking around parks and gardens together for years.
In each show, we share interesting and fascinating facts about native plants.
Why 3 seeds? Well, we believe it takes 3 seeds to germinate great ideas.
We're 2 of the 3 seeds, and the third may very well be a plant, a person, or a cultivar.
Oh, no. Stephanie, thank you for rushing over here. We have to do this quick before they're gone.
Before what's gone?
The ephemerals.
Funky ephemerals.
Bam, bam. We gotta hop to it.
We gotta hop to it. Folks, we're going on a limb this episode to focus on funky ephemerals. It's just gonna be me, Elizabeth, and the plants. We have some reveals. We have some botanical processes of what the heck is.
What?
And we're kicking it off with Elizabeth's first reveal.
So we're talking about ephemerals. The definition of ephemeral is fleeting. And in the case of plants, ephemeral spring native plants, they are short-lived, often like only a couple weeks, maybe a month at most. FYI, did you know that animals can be ephemeral?
What animals are ephemeral?
I think insects.
Oh, yeah, like fruit flies?
Yeah, a lot of different ones are, right? They're out to mate, they get it done when the timing is just right. And I think that's what we're talking about with plants. Not only are they coming out early to take advantage of the shadeless conditions under trees, but did you know that they are really important for spring pollinators?
I might know that.
I thought you might. Okay. And did you also know that they can be soil savers and reduce water runoff during a time of year when there are few other plants around?
I mean, big ups to the ephemerals, because these rains are already starting and it's pretty wet.
It's true. It's true. It rained last night, didn't it? I decided I wanted to do a what the heck is.
Uh-huh.
Huh?
What?
Yeah, it's a tough time to be a flowering plant. There can be dramatic conditions like late frosts and snowstorms. And with this, you can get really low soil temperatures. And that can mean that nutrient availability for plants can be limited because of that low soil temperature.
Okay.
And one workaround that some spring ephemerals have luckily in their back pocket is something having to do with their associations with mycorrhizae, which are fungal roots.
Mycorrhizae?
Mycorrhizae.
What?
Fungal roots?
Mm-hmm.
Or their roots are fungal?
Well, mycorrhizae, myco is fungus, rhiza is roots. Why do you always give me these stumpers, girl?
It sounds like what you're saying is the plants and the fungi are connected.
Yes, they have a symbiotic relationship. And it's beneficial to both plant roots and these soil-borne organisms, which are fungus.
Okay.
Plant roots are hospitable sites for fungus to anchor.
Okay.
And produce their threads. And the fungus receives all of its necessary carbohydrates from the host plant, since fungus does not photosynthesize.
Huh. Carbohydrates.
Yeah.
That's so funky.
In return, the mycorrhizae, or mycorrhiza, absorbs nutrients from the soil, which it then passes along to the plant as a little thank you. Resulting in a really large mass of fungal hyphae. And hyphae is the threads of the fungus.
So it's a bit of a web that it's creating?
Yes.
Hyphae.
Yes. Hyphae. This increases the amount of water and nutrients that a plant may obtain now from this broader scope of surrounding soil. In most situations, the roots of a plant occupies only 0.5% of the topsoil volume and even less of the subsoil. Because the hyphae, which are the threads of this fungus, is thinner than the plant's roots, it's able to come into contact with more soil on a per volume basis.
That makes sense.
Yeah. This is particularly important in the uptake of phosphorus, one of the major nutrients required by plants. And recent research indicates that the fungi even help break down rock, increasing availability of the essential nutrients within, such as potassium, calcium, zinc, and magnesium.
That is super cool.
Yeah, these symbiotic arrangements have been found in about 90% of all land plants.
Okay, so beyond ephemerals, just land plants in general,
Yeah,
they're hooking up with fungi
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And apparently this has been around for approximately 400 million years.
Amazing.
Can't really wrap my head around that.
Yeah. Wow. That is actually amazing. That was a great what the heck is.
Yeah, and forgive me if my pronunciation was a little off. Kind of hard for me to say some of this stuff.
No, that was really, really fascinating. Thanks for sharing that one.
No problem.
Okay, so I have a plant reveal within which is buried a what the heck is?
What?
This plant has blood red sap flowing through its veins. Do you know what it is?
Maybe.
The sap was used in dyes, ceremonial paints, and for medicinal purposes by native tribes. And it also, you can use it to treat ulcers, sores, tapeworms, burns, and cramps. It was used as a blood purifier. I think we know that a lot of those blood purification processes back in the day were maybe not so helpful, but it also could stop vomiting.
Yeah.
The juice from the rhizomatous roots has antibacterial properties that might be used for an anti-plaque mouthwash. If you want.
If you're kind of
if you're really into like having an experience similar to taking morphine, I guess, because
this
the
could be
poisonous-
great. You get morphine and you're doing your teeth a service.
yeah, you get fresh breath and a daze. The
Yeah.
poisonous root juice contains alkaloids that are closely related to morphine, and all parts of the plant are poisonous if ingested, just like all the other plants I've revealed.
Wait, so you could get a high off this, except you're going to be poisoned by it.
Pretty much, yeah. So blood purification in a lot of cases, like maybe the effects of blood purification kind of left you in a worse state than before you tried that.
That's like every drug and all the disclaimers. You're like, it's like, do you want to be happy? But do you also want sores all over your body? It's like, no.
So which plant is this? Bloodroot.
That's what I thought it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sanguinaria canadensis is the Latin, and it's an early bloomer. It's a funky ephemeral, and it has large, beautiful white flowers with visible veining. Going back to the blood part of it, the petals blow off very easily. It has yellow stamens that are really eye-catching, and its bloom lasts only 1 or 2 sunny days. And then the blooms have a fragrant scent, and it likes shady woodlands. It doesn't produce nectar, but it is into trickery. So what I mean by that is it's a trickster of bees and flies who like its protein-rich pollen, but if it doesn't get enough visitors, it can self-pollinate. The stamens bend inward to brush against the flower's own stigma.
What?
Self-pollination, it's a thing. So it's also a trickster in how it spreads. So this process or this relationship is called myrmecochory.
What?
Myrmex is the Greek word for ant. So the seeds of bloodroot have a fatty piece called an elaiosome, which ants love. The ants carry the seeds to their nests, eat the snack off the seed, and then bring the seed to the surface and toss it in one of their many trash piles, enabling the plant to spread and bloom in new places the following year. And that's called myrmecochory. So anytime you see ant trash piles, which are all over the place, if you have your microscope, you just got to say myrmecochory and move on. This plant also has mystical aspects. So the Tuscarora tribe used bloodroot for divination, and the Omaha Ponkas used it as a love charm, believing if a young man stained his palm with the red dye, any woman who shook his hand would be willing to marry him.
Gotta look out.
Right?
Look at those hands before you shake them.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
All right, what'd you got next?
Okay, yeah. So I am going to talk to you about a spring ephemeral that recently caught my attention because it looks like it has upside down pantaloons with yellow petals at their waist. Oh no, Stephanie's giving me a look that
We do have a coincidental reveal.
we always wondered when it would happen.
Wow.
So what we'll do is I'll kind of tell you what I know about it,
Okay.
and then you're going to add on.
Maybe not.
Okay, so as you know, these are Dutchman's breeches, otherwise known as Dicentra cucularia.
Yes.
Yes, as that's how you were going to say it. You'll always be able to recognize these whimsical white puffy pants once you've seen them. They rise above feathery parsley-like leaves. Do you have anything to add at this point?
Well, I think the fact is that they really do look like pants hanging upside down, and it's very funny looking.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
once you make the association, you cannot not associate it.
Yeah, you can't not see the pants.
And I mean, I suppose they are rather Dutch looking from like, I don't know what era, but yes.
Right. I guess pantaloons. Maybe they're not so current.
Right, because
Yeah.
they kind of do look like a little high rise. I actually have never seen one in person, have you?
I have. I saw them last year in Wisconsin,
Oh, you
and
did?
they're very teeny tiny.
Yeah.
They're a very unassuming little plant.
Are they as funny in person as they look?
Well, from a distance, they just look little tiny white flowers.
yeah.
But then you get to see the shape up close, and they do look like they're kind of hanging on a rack because they're like hanging in a line.
That's awesome. Well, anyways, this native plant, it also resists frost to emerge early, and the bloom only lasts 2 to 3 weeks, March to April. I also learned that it's also known as staggerweed because there are toxic plant parts that induce drunken staggering in cattle when grazed.
Should I do the other part?
Yeah, I think you should definitely keep going.
The staggers come from the narcotic and toxic substances that are related to the poppy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it can cause skin rashes in some people. So don't go rubbing up against the Dutchman's breeches. And I guess don't pick them because if you pick them, they wilt immediately.
They're fleeting. I imagine they're delicate.
Right. Yeah, they are pretty. I mean, if you think about trillium, all those other ones, they do look really delicate.
Mm-hmm. I'm so grateful for these ephemeral flowers. They are really beautiful. They're completely a sign of better things to come. I think I'm hearing a lot from people right now with the really warm winter that we had in this area, that it seems like people are saying they're coming up earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, we're seeing Virginia bluebells, a lot of other things that are normally maybe, it seems like they're 2 to 4 weeks early.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you want to talk about the other parts of this plant?
Please go, yeah.
What is really interesting is that the queen bumblebee likes her breeches. This plant is, because it's available so early in the spring, guess what? The queen bumblebees, they overwinter on their own. They checked out of their colony, the colony died, and basically they're hanging out and they're like, okay, it's spring, I'm really hungry. They have to forage for themselves. They don't have a whole army of bees getting their nectar and food for them. So they venture out, but because there is not a lot of food around, they like Dutchman's breeches because it's really, really hard to open the flowers. They're very tightly closed, and you need a long proboscis to get in there and get the nectar, which is what the queens have, which is, proboscis is just a long straw that's attached to the bee's head, essentially. These queen bees are large, they're fuzzy, and they're hot. What do I mean by that?
Yes, what do you mean by that?
They manufacture enough heat by vibrating their wing muscles and restricting blood flow in the thorax to get themselves up and flying in early spring. And so Dutchman's breeches is like a treasure trove for them in terms of food.
Oh, wow. So learned about Dutchman's breeches, but also learned about the queen bee.
Yeah.
That is so interesting about the queen bee. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, and you know how you talked about eliosomes?
Mm-hmm.
I learned about them with Dutchman's breeches because it's a similar process with germination with these seeds as well. But I thought it was funny that that elaiosomes were also described as seeds having appendages.
Really?
Yeah, and that these appendages are small structures attached to the seeds, and they consist of a lot of fats, including proteins and vitamins, and that's what the ants are after, and that's why the ants are grabbing them and eating just that part. They're getting proteins, fats, vitamins.
Isn't it interesting because, like, I feel like we consider the seed to be the thing you're eating. Like, if you think
Right.
about a sunflower seed or whatever, yes, that is the thing we're eating, but, like, ants don't really care about that. But, it's probably varies from plant to plant.
Yeah, I know, and you just kind of wonder, like, was it, I don't know about the evolution of these things, but I would kind of assume that maybe the seed developed this appendage to attract the ants to help with the germination process. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure how it really went is they looked at the ants and thought, I know what they need, some fats, some vitamins. Let me just, there's an appendage.
I think that's pretty much how evolution works.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
That's just the
Every
scientific
time.
breakdown.
It's and then something happens.
That's a great one, yeah. All right, everyone. Well, I hope you go out and have some happy ephemeral hunting times. Turn up the funk.
Yeah, and just know that when you're looking at an ephemeral, there's a whole, like, fungal network going on down below.
Yeah, so ephemeral, fungi, funk town.
Bye-bye.
Bye.